Good afternoon, everybody. I hope everybody has a nice holiday. We're still here in Washington, and we have two major pieces of legislation: the COVID relief package, and that is paired with a what's called an omnibus, which is the big spending bill that we do once a year. When I get started, I would just like to say that I am so excited that we were able to get included into this package my bill, which establishes the New River Gorge as a national park and preserve. This is the 63rd national park and the 20th national preserve. That area, I'll remind you, is a national river. We had many town meetings. I had conversations with economic development folks in and around the Fayette, Raleigh area, with citizens, with hunters, with fishermen, with environmentalists, all kinds of the Park Service, most certainly. And we're going to get the New River Gorge redesignated. So this, I think, is going to be such a major investment in tourism in West Virginia. Being a national park is a gold stamp of approval and excellence. We're going to be able to share the beauty and the magnificence of our New River Gorge with people from all over the country. And I'm just so excited about this. We had the support of Senator Manning and Congresswoman Miller. And it basically doesn't cost anything. It is projected to raise visitorship about 20% and will catalyze a lot of economic growth in an area that is ready for growth and poised for growth. So I'm really excited for all the vistas, the vision, and the beauty and history of that park, of that now National River will become a national park. So I wanted to make sure everybody was aware of that. We also just passed a targeted relief bill that is very similar to the bills that didn't pass in September and October, much to my dismay. And this bill extends the Paycheck Protection Program, which is the small business help program that we have that successfully helped a lot of our small businesses and restaurants. It also includes other 501c6s, which is some other organizations like visitors bureaus and other nonprofits that were not included. There's also some help in there for entertainment venues and movie theaters that have at this point been unable to access some relief. Now you know that people aren't going to these venues and we're not having concerts. So but we want to keep these important venues open and viable for when this vaccine really kicks in. There's also money in here for so that the vaccine will be made available to anybody free of charge. Money in there for the states to assist with testing and with the vaccine deployment. It also has individual stimulus checks. You've probably heard $600 for either an adult or a dependent. And those will begin going out starting the end of this month. I think they're projecting $130 million to go out by the 1st of January. And I'm welcome to answer questions on some of that. The unemployment that has been established under the pandemic will be extended until March the 14th. That's 10 more weeks of unemployment with an additional $300 per week to boost that unemployment. You may recall the original CARES package had that as $600. This extends the program and extends it also for self-employed people with a $300 bump. There's also some assistance for substance abuse. We know that overdoses and overdose deaths are going up. We don't want to see this go to the back burner. There's money in there for broadband deployment. As you know, that's one of my passions. There's money in there for our elementary and secondary schools and also our colleges and universities. There's money for some transportation sectors, an increase in the SNAP program, which used to be called the food stamp program, and other assistance for airports and buses and transit systems. So it mirrors pretty much where we know aid is needed. We targeted it to the most the folks that either were left behind or are still, through no fault of their own, unable to open. Obviously, restaurants is a big part of that, and the hospitality sector. And then as we move to the omnibus bill, which is the big spending bill, as you know, I'm an appropriator. We've got a lot of good things in there for West Virginia. We have research for fossil energy. We have more money for the Reconnect program, which is again another broadband program through the USDA. Some transportation grants that have been very critical to us in completions of Quarter H, Route 35, 522, Route 2 expansion, and other projects throughout the state. We've also invested in the FBI, which you know is a large center in the Fairmont and Bridgeport areas. More money for opioid response grants, which is critical to West Virginia. There's a whole variety in here, and I'm just highlighting the ones that are important to me. More research for Alzheimer's. As you know, both my parents passed away from Alzheimer's several years ago, and I've worked hard to make sure that not only are we aiming to find a cure, but we're also helping families try to cope with this. So this is very good news. I'm disappointed that we didn't do COVID relief earlier, but I'm happy we're doing it now. We expect to vote on the bill later tonight. It is a over 5,000 page bill. It is enormous. It has other issues in it, like a water resources bill, a surprise billing, which I think would be a good article to write on, a surprise billing, which is when you get a bill from your anesthesiologist 6 to 8 weeks later on a procedure that you've had. It comes as a surprise to you, and you have to battle with your insurance company. So we're trying to eliminate that as a good consumer, and also try to reining in the healthcare costs. So there's all kinds of stuff in there. I'm really excited about the new River Gorge National Park. That has been something that has been top of the line for me, because I know it will have such great impacts on our state. As a matter of fact, my little phone is sitting on top of this book that's got the National Parks Conservation Association puts out, so I'm hoping we get a picture in that book next year. You know, these were all the questions we asked in the beginning. The short answer is no, you will not have to pay to get in. It will be basically just a redesignation name change. Some of the boundaries, and we've split it into a park and a preserve. You can hunt in the preserve, and there are some areas that are going to be open to hunting that were not previously open, and then there are some that are going to be narrowed in their ability to because being designated as a national park. But we went over this numerous times with our outdoorsmen, our hunting community of all kinds, and we tried to reach what we thought was the best conclusion. I think what it's going to mean is, you know, a lot of people come to this country, and a lot of people in this country plan their summers traveling around visiting national parks. And the national park is as I said, it's the A+ rating, and so it's a redesignation. You'll see more investment in it because we passed the Great American Outdoors Act last year, which is more money for parks. But it will, to the outside observer who's frequented it there, say maybe you or me who's been there on hikes or everything, there will be no real physical changing in it. Hopefully more trails, more availability. The aspect that the governor was very interested in is an extension. He also wanted the flexibility, and he's not alone, a lot of other governors did want this, the flexibility to spend that money as a replacement for lost tax revenues for cities, counties, and the state. So there's an extension of this till December 30th of 2021, so he will have another year to spend the money, but it has to be under the same parameters of the original CARES Act, which means he cannot use that money to replace tax revenues. Yeah, let me address the student loan issue. There is no forbearance for student loans in this bill. The extensions of the deadlines to repay your student loans is not a part of this bill. So the original deadlines are holding. However, in a call this morning with some folks who are very familiar with this aspect of the bill, the president himself can, by executive order, put forbearance on student loans. And there is a bit of an expectation, although right now it hasn't been formulated, that the president would do that. Well, it does extend for another 10 weeks. Now remember, it was originally, the enhanced payment originally went to July 31st, and we found ourselves obviously in need of some more help. It was extended for several more weeks through the fall. This goes for another 10 weeks. It's $300 extra. I think there is a hope that with the deployment of the vaccine, and that 10 weeks could maybe take us to a better place in terms of our unemployment and reopening. But I can guarantee you, if it doesn't, we will relook at these deadlines. Well, I think if it's an extension of unemployment. So if you were eligible under the CARES Act, which would, we opened up the window of unemployment in that act for different people, a gig worker, a self-employed person who would not normally be eligible for unemployment has been eligible for unemployment under the it's called the PUA, the Pandemic Unemployment Assistance Program. So those people are still going to be eligible for that until March the 14th. If you find yourself newly unemployed, you're going to be eligible for this. So if you're already on unemployment, this is an extension of your time that you're allowed to be on it. No, it's a redesignation, Rick, from a national river to a national park and preserve. The preserve is really the larger part. That's where the hunting has been preserved, and a lot of the area that's been in the national river that's open for hunting will be in that area. The national park is actually going to be a smaller portion of it, and it will preserve those areas for the special designation of a national park. Doesn't really cost anything, but it's only the 63rd national park, and I think it's the 20th preserve. I might have, wait a minute, let me get my number there. But it's estimated that it will really catalyze a lot of growth. Yeah, that's right, it's the 20th preserve. It will catalyze a lot of growth. The folks there, we had a lot of town hall meetings, and Senator Manchin and I and Congressman Miller, we all worked on this together. We tried to address every concern, and it's going to be a wonderful, I think, feather in our cap to have a national park in one of the prettiest spots in our nation, in West Virginia. Yeah, I really appreciate you all getting on the phone. This has been a long process. I made a speech on the floor today saying that we got to do better than this, that we shouldn't drag these things out. We've got small businesses, we've got people on unemployment, we've got students, we've got landlords, we've got people who can't pay their rent. There is forbearance in the rent evictions, and a lot of things that have needed our help and needed it in September and October when it got caught up in politics. So with that, I just appreciate you all getting on, and I hope everybody on has a great holiday. Thank you.